That helps. All right, welcome Hornet fans to Hornets Live, presented by American Pie Pizza. Thanks for joining us for this special Wednesday night show. And if you're here at American Pie Pizza just to enjoy some pizza and the Razorback game going on around us, welcome to Hornets Live. And be sure to come back next Monday on our regular night and join us for Wing Mondays and bring these kids because they eat free here on Monday nights. And I was actually, Coach, I was down. I had to go to the facilities down here. And we may have wanted just to move this whole thing to the bar because the bar is a happening place tonight. And since this isn't like a AAA approved show, we could probably just go on down and, enjoy the beverages in the adult section of this place because the bar is happening tonight for sure.
Well, and I've had their pizza and wings, and they're both fantastic, but I've never seen these nachos, and I can't wait till the break.
So during football season, there you go. During football season, somebody, I don't remember, maybe it was somebody ordered these during football season, and I've wanted to get them every time. And tonight I was like, yeah, might as well go for it. So as you can tell, the large nachos are loaded with fajita chicken, cheddar cheese, American Pie Pizza's famous white cheese dip, diced tomatoes, jalapenos, cilantro, and sour cream. So excuse us if we decide to devour this on the air tonight because to Andy's point, he said they might be a little soggy by the time you get to a break. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to let them get to a break because they smell really, really good. So again, big thanks to Tamsy and her crew here. They do a great job for us every single week. And you guys got to get up here and see our friends at American Pie Pizza. Great pizza, great wings, and really good cheese dip. And about to find out just how good those nachos are. So joining me now, of course, head coach, your Maumelle Hornets, Coach Shook. Coach, how you doing today?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Doing good. I know you busy day. Got to take in some third grade basketball, right?
Yes, sir. After high school practice, went over and helped out a little bit with my oldest son. He plays third grade basketball.
Well, fun stuff. Well, it just adds to a busy week. It's I was joking. I was talking to Tamsy when we got here, and I said, it never fails. It gets the busiest when I have no time for it to be busy. And between real estate, my mother-in-law, who usually keeps our kids she's out on a cruise this week. And then my 4-year-old he's not really quarantined, but he can't go to school because he had it with a close contact thing. And of course, at their daycare, they don't do the mask thing. So he has to stay out for 2 full weeks.
Oh, wow.
Even if I got him tested, it'd be 10 days. Well, 14 days, 10 days, same thing in a school week. So, so he's been home with me. He's had to get drug around with me. And I don't know what that is. All right. Had to pop up on my computer, but so busy week, not just for us on the court, but personally. But I'm glad to be here at American Pie Pizza, and 3 conference games since we last talked last Wednesday, but 3 wins in 3 conference games. So got to feel good about that.
Absolutely, that's the main thing. We spend all non-conference getting ready for conference play and want to do everything we can here to prepare us for the postseason. So we're starting it off right. And
I was looking at it, we're going to get into these games and we'll preview some stuff. And obviously we won't talk about this game yet because we got a big one coming up Friday. But, as we start to see the way the conference is rounding out, and obviously things can change. COVID could impact some things. You could have some kids get hurt, sick, whatever, miss games for whatever reason. But right now, it's really looking like maybe a two-horse race in the Central between us and Parkview as some other squads. Sylvan Hills is still there, battling. Jacksonville, obviously battling. But it's kind of been a two-horse race with us and Parkview sitting undefeated at the top of the conference. I
agree. I feel like, across the board, every coach in the 5A Central would say that we're probably the 2 most talented teams. But, this conference is pretty tough. Any given night, if you don't bring your A game, well, with the exception of one team, you could lose anybody in the conference. So you've definitely got to be locked in, and you got to bring your A game every night.
Well, we'll talk about one of those teams, Friday's game against Hall. Obviously a very struggling team, a program that's struggling. And it's hard to watch Hall struggle like they do, as historic of a program as that is. A lot of state titles. We were reminded of that throughout our broadcast by whoever that guy was in the comments, letting us know that I think at one point he said that Hall has more titles than we have hair on our head, which that might be a bit of a stretch, although I'm losing a few. It's still very hard to watch Hall struggle like they have. Winless on the season. But, again, it's a game that you have to make sure, and maybe more than anything, have to make sure your guys are in the right mindset for. And early in that game, it seemed maybe the focus wasn't quite 100% as things were a little out of control and we struggled to get baskets the first few minutes.
Yeah, that's what we talked about. You want to get better every day, every practice, every game. And sometimes when you're playing someone, like I said, that is struggling, they're really, really young. Sometimes you can develop bad habits, and that was the big thing that we talked about was, we knew we were going to win, not to be arrogant or whatever, but we knew we were significantly better and going to win. But, we didn't want to get worse. You know, we didn't want to develop those bad habits. And like I said, those first probably 3 or 4 minutes of the game were pretty aggravating. For a team that likes to score, to not have any points 3 minutes into the game, it was frustrating.
Well, and we talked in the post game about it, and I don't know, maybe we'll find out if this was a true stat or not. But the beginning maybe cost us another historic moment, and we could have put 100 points on Hall, which the rumor is it's never happened. So we'll see. But either way, found our rhythm through as things went on, and really through that first half, kind of found some rhythm, got going, and built a 63-15 lead at the half. Big lead there, and you had to feel pretty good, at least after the second quarter, as to how your team responded in the first half.
Oh, yeah. And the nice thing about that game was, it was an opportunity to experiment with a lot of things and just see what works in games, what doesn't. Of course, it's not the same going against Hall as it is going against, some of the other teams in conference, but at least getting to see what adjustments we need to make in practice and things to make the team better.
So in the second half, much of the same, and by the end of the third, had another running clock, an 83-27 lead, and things were just really going your way at that point.
Yeah, well, they were having fun, and that was the big thing. I knew that we were going to pull, the starters, as many as we could, and obviously we wanted to get out of the game without getting any injuries, but also, they did a really good job of supporting their, the other guys. When the guys came off the bench and got to play a lot of minutes, and so that was good to see.
Well, I know we talked in the post game. It was an opportunity. Obviously you were able to substitute liberally. You were able to bring guys in and out. But probably more importantly than anything, knowing that you had this big week coming up, that you were able to really let some guys rest some legs going into a big week of 3 games in 5 days.
Yes, sir. And, and then we didn't practice Saturday or Sunday, so we actually played 3 games straight without any practices as well. And so it was good to, like I said, give them that rest.
So we end up winning that one 96-30, just short of hitting the century mark for the 3rd time this season. 5 guys, though, would reach double digits in the game as well. So you got to like seeing the guys moving the ball, really playing for their teammates in this one.
Absolutely. That's, we had that experience up in Neosho, and we talked about how well we play when we share the ball and how dangerous we can be, and so it was good to see that.
So then we'd move on, and Monday night we'd make up a game that we missed because of COVID with Jacksonville that would have opened conference play. We'd head over to Titan Arena, and coming into that game, I said, I thought it was going to be our toughest test to date. This was a Jacksonville team that we'd gotten to see down in Morrilton in the tournament there, and they really struggled. They really seemed to lack an identity, really seemed to lack to have anybody real scoring options. Obviously, getting Christian Moore back has made a big difference for them. But you guys played really well in the first quarter, it seemed, and the test was passed in that first period. Built 26-12 lead after a buzzer beating 3 by Nico, not a shooter, Davier, in front of the head hog, Sam Pittman.
Yes, sir. We and I believe I said something in the post game about it, but I've kind of complained all year that our defense hadn't been on par. But Jacksonville game, we looked better than we've probably looked all year. we were making shots. I don't remember exact percentage, but I know we shot extremely well. But they were also engaged on the defensive end, and like I said, Christian's such a phenomenal player, just super quick, high skill set and talent, can score from anywhere. And 3 of our guys played AAU with him, and so they're buddies with him and everything. And so that, I think that ramped up our intensity, was playing someone you're friends with, and because there's going to be a lot of bragging rights on the line. And so they made me really happy that night.
It was fun for us, too, because as a broadcast crew, we've made good friends with our buddy Monty Patel over there. I consider him a good friend, so kind of the same thing. We get to kind of rib each other back and forth. Of course, Monty's just going to come back and give us coach speak afterwards and let us know how he feels. But it was a fun game. But funny, too, none of us on our broadcast crew had any clue that Sam Pittman was in the building. It makes more sense now. I understand why nobody was allowed to walk through that section of the gym, because it's like, why can't we just go right there? Had no idea Pittman was going to be there. But it seemed like Nico maybe had a little different focus in this one, knowing his future head coach was there to take in the game.
Yeah, I think it was an opportunity, for him. He loves the game of basketball, and obviously he's extremely athletic and talented, but it was an opportunity for him to, show his future coach, like, look at my footwork, look how quickly I can move, my explosiveness and things like that, and just, give him that opportunity to see it live. I mean, I know he's probably seen film and everything, but it was good to see that Nico. We like that one.
Well, hopefully Pittman's taking in a few of our broadcasts. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe so. I know I've had a few different hogs in our broadcast a few times in the past, so who knows? But it'd be much of the same in the second as we built a 50-23 lead at the half. What made you guys, obviously defensively, what all went into making you guys so successful in the first half of that game against Jacksonville?
I mean, I think it was just being engaged defensively. We've talked before about how they're usually locked in trying to play on-ball defense, but our help defense hasn't been where it needs to be. They've been so consumed with guarding their man instead of guarding the ball. And so when one guy gets beat, well, then they end up getting a wide-open layup or a shot, whereas this game, we were more locked in. They paid attention in the scouting report. They knew who to help off of, who not to, and things like that. And it made a big difference. Of course, Christian, he had 14 in the first half, but, I had told Dexter and a couple of other guys, I said, we're going to keep riding. We're going to make him earn everything, and we're going to wear him down. Like, he's not going to do this the whole game. And that, kind of came to fruition, and it was good to see them see the results from actually doing what they're supposed to.
Yeah. So by the end of the third, we'd built a 40-point lead, which I was really surprised at. And we were able to build such a big lead because Jacksonville, again, had been playing much better since conference play had started. But going into the fourth, second game in a row where we'd get into the fourth with a running clock, and, again, another chance to rest some legs, and an 84-51 victory. So it had to have been a happy locker room after going on the road and getting a 30-plus point victory.
Absolutely. Jacksonville's so good, even in their down years, which they don't have many, but even in their down years, Coach Joyner does such a good job, has them well prepared. They play hard, and we caught them on the right night. I mean, we played really well. Like, I want to give my guys credit for sure, but that wasn't a typical Jacksonville game. Every year that we've played them, no matter whether one team was more talented than the other, usually it's been pretty close, but all the games have been close.
Yeah. It was obviously a lot of fun to watch. It was a lot of fun to call. I know Andy and I had a lot of fun on the call, but we then move on last night, play our third conference game in 5 days, a matchup against the Benton Panthers. Benton came into the game winless in conference, but had played Parkview pretty well the week prior, and so you knew you were going to have your hands full in this one.
Yes, sir. They last year, it took overtime at their place to beat them, and then they beat us at our place the last game of the regular season. And, of course, I reminded the guys of that in the locker room before the game. I felt like we were much better than that last year, and so that was one of the talking points was, we need to go take care of business. We're better than them this year, and we need to get we need to do our job. I was hoping for the same defensive effort that we had the night before. Unfortunately, we didn't. But as a coaching staff, we had talked about how we kind of expected a little bit of a letdown.
And it's probably easy to have a letdown like that. You come home, you've already played 2 games back-to-back in essence, and in 2 games that you really dominated from tip to finish. You dominated, and so probably an easy opportunity for a team maybe to take a little bit of a mental break, at that point. And I think the important piece, though, and maybe obviously something you guys have learned as a coaching staff, what these kids have learned out on the floor is, this is that grind mode that you're going to get into anyway once you get to the state tournament. When you get to the state tournament, you're going to play, if you get to the finals, you're going to play multiple games in a week's time. And so this is probably a really good opportunity to really start to make these kids understand that this is the grind they're going to have to go through to get to a state title. Absolutely.
When, like you said, in the state tournament, so often, you're lucky if you get 1 day between games. Mm-hmm. And, in non-conference, of course, everyone scouts and prepares, but there's not as much film out and things like that. Once you get to conference play, every coach is, doing their job. They're scouting. You get to have practices where you're going over game plans and trying to prepare for people. But when you play 3 straight games with no practices, it makes it more difficult. And so that game was a good opportunity. Benton, they like to run a lot of set plays, and so with no practice, we didn't have an opportunity to kind of go through and walk through all their plays and be prepared for it. So that's something that we'll have to learn from and get better at by state tournament time. And then, like I said, playing at home definitely different for us than playing on the road.
Yeah, and I know we talked last week about Benton's big, a Jaden Gray, a guy that last year was maybe. I don't want to use the word liability, but he wasn't a great player for them last year. Now he has developed into a really good player this year. He scored their first 6 points and seemed to be a little bit of a matchup issue, at least early, that he was able to get a lot of rebounds inside and kind of take it to you guys a little bit.
Absolutely. I'd heard over the summer that he'd been working really hard and made some improvements, and you hear that about a lot of guys. I mean, you expect guys that are players to be in the gym, but once I started watching film, I was really impressed with the growth that he had made, and he did. Like I said, with his length, he's a tough matchup, and that was one of the things we talked about early on. Was we wanted it to be a fast-paced game because we did feel that was the one advantage we had over him was whether he could keep up for an extended amount of time running the floor, and fortunately for us, Benton was okay with running with us early on, so that was good.
We were a little surprised by that too. I know we talked about that during the broadcast. Was that they want to keep running? I don't know if they're going to be able to keep up with it, and I think we'll be able to say that pretty much throughout the season for most. Is if you want to run with us, I hope you got a lot of legs because you're gonna get wore out by the end. We'll see if the shots still fall, but by the end of the first, a 28-21 lead. But again, with this pesky of a Benton team, it's a lead that probably didn't feel very comfortable after the first.
Now they've got two guys that. On film, when I'm breaking everything down, number 13, I don't remember his name, but
Harrison, I believe.
He hit like 4 threes in almost every game that I watched. 20 had hit several threes, had a few games where he had 3 or 4 threes, but every game he had at least 2. And they didn't shoot the ball really well the first half. And so that was big for us. And that was one of the things we talked about at halftime was, guys, we shot the ball pretty well. They didn't. Like, they're due to make them this half. Like, you've got to stay locked in and ready. And so that, they're definitely, like you said, a pesky team that you can't take lightly.
They surprised me personally a little bit with their athleticism, and maybe that's just my bias talking. But as a Bryant grad, as a guy that doesn't really like Benton very much, I get to go back and forth with some friends who live in Benton, and I got a good buddy of mine he's actually moved here, but his kids play for Benton, so he's really gotten into the Benton Bryant matchup or that rivalry. And so for him and I, we like to talk a lot of stuff to each other. And before the season started, he's been telling me, hey, man, we got guys that can dunk this year. And that's all he'll tell me. And I'm like, okay, that's great. We know you got Cam Harris. It's fine. We know he can dunk. But I was surprised. I mean, Bell is at 11, a really good player.
Absolutely.
Who can get to the rack. They were a lot more athletic, not just pesky, but a lot more athletic than I think even I would have thought they were going to be coming into that game.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, it starts with Cam. I mean, he's just so good. I mean, at everything. He can post you up. He can shoot the mid-range. He can take you off the dribble. He can knock down shots from the perimeter. He can do it all. And he's got a good length, good, overall athleticism and everything. And then, like you said, the Bell kid, I mean, when you just look at him, you wouldn't think he was that athletic, but he'll rise up and dunk in a heartbeat. I mean, he's impressive. When I watched him on film, I was like, man, I don't even remember this kid from last year. Like, and I went and looked at last year's scorebook, and they had a kid that was a senior last year that started for him who was last name Bell. So I don't know if maybe there's a relation there or whatever, but that kid was a good player too. But this younger one looks more athletic for sure.
No doubt. So second quarter, a milestone would be met with about 3:50 to go in the half as Carl Daughtery Jr. would get a rebound inside and get the putback to officially hit the 1,000-point mark. And got to be proud of not just the accomplishment by Carl, but also just what a great representative of Maumelle he's been during his career here.
Absolutely. Carl is such a phenomenal person.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he's an outstanding basketball player, but he's just such a good person. He's a good student, hardworking, just really, really high character person. He's the one that he's going to make any program better, just because he is that high character, hardworking guy that, people like being around, and he's friendly. He's easy to get along with, and like I said, obviously he's a really good basketball player too.
So we built a 14-point lead going into the half, but I know talking to the post game last night, you probably felt we could have played a little better in that first half. Obviously, defensively, I think that was a big part of it. What was the G-rated message at the half to your guys?
It was all pretty G-rated. It was, I was real calm, kind of like I told you after the game. I think it was my fault that we had the lull in the third period, was because halftime it wasn't. I mean, there wasn't any yelling and screaming or anything. It wasn't intense. It was more of just matter of fact, guys. We didn't do this right. We didn't do this. We've got to share the ball. We've got to rotate and get help on defense, just like we did last night at Jacksonville. We've got to do that tonight. We're not doing it, And it was, as a coach, I've learned over the years, you've got to pick and choose when you're going to yell and scream at them or when you're going to do that. And I didn't feel like against Benton was the time. Like, I didn't want to waste one of those rah-rahs, let's go get them when, and so it was, like I said, it was pretty mellow. It's my fault, I guess. That's why we came out that way in the third quarter.
So, obviously, third quarter, Benton would do a good job of battling, hanging around. They'd hit shots in that second half in the third. And maybe more surprising, though, was the fact that they were able to do it with two of their best players on the bench in foul trouble. You were able to get Harris and Gray into foul trouble with 4 fouls, I think, late in the third or middle of the third, and they had to sit. But we were only able to manage about 11 points in the third. What do you think led to the inefficiency in the third? Just mindset? Probably,
yeah. And just like I said, the whole attitude, or not attitude, but tone. I don't know. The whole locker room was just blah, And we came out and played the same way, and so. And like I said, credit to Benton. Those guys that weren't making shots made some shots. And we knew they were capable of that. That's what we talked about, was that they could do that. But, yeah, our offense was not good.
We talked about it because Andy was like, wait, we only have 11 points in this quarter. And I was just as surprised because we hadn't seen that much. But we'd go into the fourth with it was a 10-point game, 60-50. What was the message to your team going into that fourth period of play?
Got to stay locked in. We've got to put this team away because they are capable of making shots, and because we didn't want to allow the officials to have any impact on the game. We needed to make sure that we extended the lead. We talked about on offense. They went to that triangle in two, so we talked about some adjustments that we were going to make. To that. And then it helped. Nico was able to kind of get a little bit going and get a few buckets there in that fourth quarter. We were able to play a little better defense, and then that led to some transition buckets, which that's what we're best at. And so we got back to playing our game, and so it ended up paying off.
You'll say I don't know if it was getting into their legs or just the contributions from guys like Nico, Dex, Maul, each had a pretty big contribution in the fourth, whether it was getting a big rebound or getting a big steal and getting into transition, a couple of big and ones. I know Nico had 1 or 2 in that fourth period, and it allowed us to pull away for an 85-68 win in front of what was a pretty nice home crowd at the Hornets' Nest.
Yeah, of course the student section was rocking like always, and I try not to look in the stands much other than the student section, but I saw a fair amount of people up there behind, on the side behind us. So It's always good to see.
Well, and that's the fun part. I think you can get a pretty good idea of the how loud the crowds are now that we moved down courtside because everything's coming behind us. I know Will made a comment about that, said the crowd noise is so much different with you guys courtside, and so it seemed to make a difference at times. I know that it seemed to maybe frustrate Benton at times. I know maybe they were really, really just distracted by our mullets because we were flowing the locks and looking really good over there. So maybe that was a big part of it. So Will says not good. Somebody did say they thought we were 2 old women sitting down there. So, hey, whatever. Oh, wow. We'll take that. But I thought she came down to take our picture and then realized it was 2 dudes instead of 2 old women. And she was like, never mind. So 5-0 in conference. That's the important part. Got to feel great at this point in the season.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 5-0's good as you can get.
That's right.
That's what we want. So.
Yep. All right. So we're going to take a quick break and eat on some of these massive nachos. And when we get back, we're going to be joined by Mr. 1,000 Points, Carl Daughtery Jr.
Sounds good.
So any great basketball coach will tell you that communication is absolutely key to winning ball games. If you don't communicate, you're not going to get the ball to the hoop. And at Cornerstone, we feel the exact same way about the mortgage process. We have to communicate to you. We want you to know where you are every step of the way. We want to get you to the closing table with no stress, and that's a winning game plan to me.
With Cornerstone Home Lending, you always have the home court advantage. Visit loansbydo.com to get started.
Dex to Carl, catch and shoot for clutches, up and good.
How about that one?
Carl Daughtery Jr. knocks down the three. Back to Daughtery in the corner, he's going to drive, he stops, long two is up and good. Clutch knocks down another one. Dex fought for it, got it. Colby, easy money, Garland for three! As Colby knocks down the three. Hornets. Nico looking to drive, looking to spin on Hammond. Look at the job by Nico, the Predator, Davier. Wow. Maul to Clutch. Now he curls, looking to the lane off the free throw line. Got a lot of contact up off the backboard and good. Colby will try to go to the, nope, he's going to shoot the three. Got it. Colby, easy money. Garland knocks down the three. Hornets up. Now Wade's got it. Wade looking up floor. Wade, he's going to stop and pop. Nope, going to go all the way to the basket. Riley Wade puts it up and in. Rebound. Look at Nico flying out of bounds. Tell me that's not a foul. Daughtery, nice pass to Garland. Garland waits, puts it up and in. Hornets back up 11. Now Garland quickly gives it away to Nico for three at the buzzer. Yes! Nico! Cross court pass to Wade. Oh, Wade thought about it. He gets the shorter two up and good. Riley Wade knocks it down. Nearly the Hornets up. Gives it away to Nico. Nico going to drive on Hammond. Oh, look at Nico to the basket.
That's our blow.
Nico comes away with it. Scott with the miss. Now Dex, he'll shot, stop. Couldn't get it out. Short two is good. Got it now, Nico. Extra one. Not a shooter. Davier is up and no, a little short. Look at the Nat with the rebound, turns around and puts it back up. Caleb Thurman doing the three. Yes! Riley, easy money Wade knocks down the three. Hornets up. Now he's looking to drive. No, he's going to shoot the long three. Yes! Colby, easy money. Garland makes it. And no good. Rebound going to be fought for. Riley Wade's got it. Oh boy, KT all alone. And KT lays it up and in. Nat gets the bucket. Hornets don't give it away to the Nat. Now Hornets not slowing anything down. Daughtery, stop, three, up, and yes! Carl Daughtery Jr. knocks down the three. Pass to Daughtery, across to Nico. Nico gonna drive here on Jaden Jones. Gets, oh nice pass to KT, and the Nat puts it up and in. Nice assist from Nico. Got it, look at Dex. Dex with the speed, gonna go all the way to the basket. Moore got it up and in as Dexter White puts the basket up and in. Photography three-pointer. Now Garland looking to drive on Thompson. He stops up off the backboard with the shot.
Easy money.
That's right, he's going.
Here it comes.
He's gonna move. He'll give it back to Daughtery. Daughtery looks to drive all the way to the basket. What a finish by Carl Daughtery. Got a lot of contact, no call. KT clears the rebound. He puts it up and in. Job by the Nat to put that. I was busy watching a different game. Oh, look at Dex with the steal as Colby's got it. Gives it up ahead to Carl. Carl up and in off the backboard. Carl Daughtery Jr. He may get there. The Nat looks to drive. Now gives it away to Summits. Up by KT and in. The Nat gets the bucket. Look like on the floor. Look at Dex to the back. Look at the move by Dexter White. Yes, sir. White all the way to the bucket. You know, maybe this year if I give guys a nickname with their name, nobody will get mad at me. Dex, that's a three. Shot is up and in. Dexter White knocks down the three. Oh, Nico was thinking about taking Pirtle. Look at Dex with the hesitation to the corner. Summons three. Got it! Maul with the three! Is up, no good. Rebound. Thurman. Look at KT clear that one out. Now KT pushing. He's going to stop at the three-point line. Crossover to the basket. Look at Caleb Thurman put it up and in. Crossover, wanting to drive from Kendall Allen. Shot is up, hanging in the air. Riley Wade puts it up and in.
14.
All right, welcome back to Hornets Live from American Pie Pizza. Be sure to come by and see our friends here at American Pie Pizza for lunch this week, located at 9709 Maumelle Boulevard. And joining Coach and I now is senior guard and UCA signee Carl Daughtery Jr. How you doing tonight, Carl?
I'm doing good, Coach.
So before we get to our preview of the BB game, I want to chat with you, Clutch. First off, thanks for being with us. And I know basketball is a team game. And I know Coach is probably going to give me the side eye and the ugly eye when I start talking like this. But I want to take just a minute because I know you as a person are not a guy that's going to brag on yourself a lot. But I want to take a minute just to brag on – I want you to take a minute to brag on yourself for a minute. What's it mean to you to hit that 1,000-point milestone?
It means a lot just to be a part of this Maumelle program and being able to get 1,000 points for them and being able to get wins. and being able to just being there as a teammate. And it's been a great season as of far right now, and we just want to keep on moving forward and try to get a state championship this year.
I know Coach talked about this a little bit in the last segment, but, I personally have had the pleasure of getting to know you and cover you for about a season and a half now. And I couldn't be more proud of you. You are I talk with folks all the time. You're one of my favorite guys. It's nothing against any of the other guys, I promise. I don't like you any less, but you're one of my favorite guys on this team. But a big reason of that is you are such a great, humble kid. You come out, you do your work, you do what you're supposed to do on the floor, you do what you're supposed to do in the classroom, you do what you're supposed to do in the community. Testament, obviously, to your parents for raising a great kid, but it's a testament to you for being such a great kid and working so hard to get to where you are right now.
Yes, sir.
So congrats on getting to that milestone. I don't want to brag on you too much, and make you feel out of place. But it's a big milestone, and I'm super proud of you. And it's been a lot of fun to get to follow your journey to this point.
I appreciate it, Coach.
And looking forward to next year. We were telling some guys. I think I was telling your dad this last night. I was like, I'm excited just to be able to go to a UCA game. My wife's a UCA grad, so we don't go to too many games. She's never been really a huge sports fan until I forced her into sports, and so now it's I'm like, hey, we have a reason to go see Hendricks. We got a reason to go see UCA. Now we got a reason to go down to see Henderson. So
yes,
we're gonna be making the rounds come next year.
Yeah, I can definitely get you some tickets.
I'll be hitting you up. So I promised. I've kind of sort of promised our buddies Big Baby and Nico that I wouldn't bug them too much for tickets to go up on the hill, but I'll bug you because Conway's a short drive. Just take the little back road and head over to Conway and come see you just about anytime we want. It'd be a lot of fun.
Yes, sir.
So one big milestone out of the way in your senior season. Got that one done. But another one was knocked out, as we're talking about a month ago when you signed with UCA. Talk about that decision to go to UCA and why you chose to play for Coach Boone and the Bears.
Coach Boone, Coach Witters, and all the coaching staff at UCA, they all recruited me hard. They would send me letters every day just checking up on me, how I'm doing. They texted me, saying when the next game. I just felt like that the love was there from the start. Right when they offered me, it was no question that they wanted me to be at their school. So that's why I committed to UCA.
What do they envision for you as a player, as you come in and get there, and what your role is going to be?
Right now, they're telling me that they're comparing me to one of the best players that came in, Jordan Howard, that was there. So coming in, getting compared to that, I'm guessing I'm trying to be one of the best players to come out of UCA. So.
Well, that's a great opportunity to make a name for yourself and be the Carl Daughtery that we know when you get there, and be a big piece of what UCA is going to do to continue building that program. Good program. They've got some good players there now, recruiting well. So should be a lot of fun there in Conway. And like I said, I'm looking forward to it when you get there. But talk about the recruiting process. I know we've talked with some of the football guys about what the recruiting process has been like, but I know it's even more different and even more challenging in the landscape of basketball and COVID and super seniors and all this and the transfer portal and everything else. What's that process been like as an athlete being recruited?
It's kind of like, some coaches would reach out to you, but then they wouldn't keep following up, because I'm getting it. There's the transfer portal, and it's a lot. This guy's already in college, so I get like that. But they're telling me they come to the games, like they're not following up. But UCA, they wrote me letters, texting me almost every week, just following up with me, just showing me the love. So.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, and to have that relationship obviously is a big piece of it, to build that relationship and know that you're going to go to a place where, one, you're wanted. They've stayed on you this long, and even more importantly, they've stayed on you this long in a time where it's obviously a difficult situation for a lot of kids that are trying to get recruited, and really coaches trying to figure out how their rosters are going to look each season.
Yes, sir.
So last season ended 3 points shy of a state title. Rough, heartbreaking way to end the season. But coming into this season, you get the opportunity to play with one of your best friends in senior Colby Garland. Talk about that relationship and how much fun it is to play with Colby.
Ever since AU, I feel like ever since we first stepped on the court together, chemistry has been there. And then I think we let each other play our game. Like we both know that we can make shots. Like we can create shots and we can make shots. So I just feel like since coming from AAU, it's kind of translating into my mail, into our offense. So we're playing together, and then we're playing hard and just trying to get the win for our team.
Are you as impressed and maybe amazed at times at some of his ability to pass?
Yeah, his IQs are probably off the charts. Yeah, like he finds guys, he finds me in open situations where sometimes I'm not really open.
So talk to also some. We've dubbed the guard room the guard shack, and we're trying to make that catch on. But how much fun is this group of guards to play with and that camaraderie you guys have?
I think we get after it, and then also Dex bringing the defense intensity on our team. So, and Kobe having his IQ on the floor, and then the guards, like, and Riley is shooting, and just, I think all the guards come together, like, and they bring something to the table.
So Coach is not going to like me asking this question because it's looking way ahead, but maybe Will should just mute his headphones real quick. But what do you think it's going to take to get a ring this season?
I think it's going to take us playing together and coming out and playing hard and from the get-go and not letting up. In the second half, we're up and just, I guess, and making shots. Like, I guess we got to get, because when we're off, like, I think we got to get into, like, if we're off, like, we can get back into it. Like, not just give up because we're not making shots.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I look back at that game last year too, and maybe at least this is what I want to tell myself some. But you look at it. Last season was a season where you didn't play in front of fans hardly at all. You didn't have anybody in the arenas, and even through the state tournament, there wasn't a lot of a lot of people because you had games at different parts of the day. Sylvan Hills game had a pretty good crowd for the semifinals, obviously being a later game in the day. But you get to the state title game, and it's a full house. I mean, that place was packed. It was loud. The energy was big, and really the first time all year you'd been able to play in front of a crowd like that. You got that opportunity once this year in front of a big crowd, obviously, with the North Little Rock game at our place, and we've been able to play in front of some bigger crowds. So it may be part of that bringing, having that energy and really being able to experience that as we go through the rest of this season could help you guys as well, you think?
Yeah, I just feel like the Mama community is way into basketball, so I just feel like they've been doing their part, showing up to the games and supporting us. I just want to say thank you to all of them for supporting us.
Well, I can tell you, it doesn't go unnoticed, and it's not just by us and the rest of the Maumelle community. So I went back just for fun last night because Coach had told me some things that I wanted to go see and some other deals. So I went back and watched a broadcast last night from the Little Rock Christian game. And I can tell you right now, they talked throughout that game about the student section. That was a big piece of what they talked about, was just how loud our student section was.
Yeah.
And it's something every week. I mean, the opposing, I think somebody said in the comments the other day, like, was there not COVID in Arkansas right now? Is there not COVID at this gym? Because they're bringing everybody from Maumelle to come over for these games. So that's been pretty cool to see, too.
Yeah, I just feel like they're very, like, loyal to us. Like, they'll come to our game where it's either Valonia or BB. I just feel like they always going to be there supporting us.
So I have to know, though, how much did you and Denton have to pay these guys to wear your jerseys and be the official? Last year we had the official Josh Denton fan club. Now we got the official Carl Daughtery fan club this season.
The dude.
Should we send him some nachos?
Thomas Naylor, we've been neighbors for I think 8+ or probably 10+ years since I've been in Maumelle. So we always been friends. And Luke, too, I always known him in my classes, and we always say what's up to each other. So, yeah, I've been knowing them for a long time.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That student section's been a lot of fun to watch. Whitley and those guys have done a fantastic job of putting it together, but also bringing the energy every night. And to your point, they travel just as well as they show up at home, which is really cool. I think that Little Rock Christian game, I think they were like 5 or 6 rows deep. So it was pretty awesome to see that. So, last question for you. What do you love about playing the game of basketball?
I think the excitement that it brings, and I like making shots. So I just like when the ball goes to the net, I just feel like I'm just having fun out there, like I'm on a different planet. So
you can see that. I love watching, especially when things get rolling. And obviously anybody, once you get that confidence going and you're feeling really good, it makes a difference. But watching you get really rolling, and then that kind of brings the rest of the team. I know the guys like to, you're a leader on this team. You've been here. You're the mainstay of this team right now. And so I think, the guys obviously feed off of your energy. And so your energy is so good in every game, whether you're hitting shots, whether you're getting big rebounds. I guess I said that was my last question. I lied. I got one more because it just came to me. We look at last year, and I know we joked, about the cut on the face, the Band-Aid thing last year, and how that seemed to bring that dog out during the state tournament.
Yes,
but, we've seen a little bit different, just a more aggressive, I feel like at least even coming into this year, more aggressive Carl, and a guy that really wants to not just settle for the three, but maybe try to create a little bit, get to the rack a little bit. How do you feel you've improved more this year over last year coming in through your senior year this far?
So I think last year, I'm more confident, and I think like my skill set has got better, like my ball handling, my shot creating, my defense, and I just feel like, I'm just saying I think it's all coming together. Like me going to all my trainers, like I'm going like 3 days a week out of practice, so. I'm just getting better overall.
Well, to Coach's point, he said the athleticism part of it, and I agree.
Yeah.
I remember your dad sent me a video before the season's over, towards the end of the summer, right before the season started, of you dunking a ball, and I was like, that's a different guy. Like, nothing against last year, but that's a different guy. That's a guy that's found a little extra step and can get up to the rim. So I know we've gotten to see one run-out dunk this year. We were joking about how many of those 1,000 points came on dunks. But, I know we gave Colby a hard time last week because this one over here, Andy keeps begging for a dunk, and I think there might be a little payout going on between Colby and his dad if he can ever get a dunk. Because jokingly, what was it, the Hall game, I think he wanted to dunk one and then maybe got in between and then he airballed a layup. And so I sent him a message. I told him, I said, I think you owe your dad $50 after that one. I don't think.
Yeah.
My money's on he doesn't get a dunk.
And it's funny to watch because you can see he wants it and then he gets some feet. He chops the feet and gets them wrong and he just has to lay it up. So. So a lot of fun. Well, Carl, appreciate you joining us. You can if you want to. Well, oh wait, forgot. You only eat chicken nuggets. Never mind. So you can just hang out with us. So, well, Coach, and hey, we can get your thoughts on this as well, Carl. But as we only got one, we're going to preview one game because we'll be back here on next Monday night. But let's talk about this BB team. Obviously, we talked about this a few minutes ago. A team that they're going to want to slow it down. They're going to want to play a style that obviously is complete opposite of what we want to do. And we've seen that. They've got 2 conference wins this year without scoring more than 41 points in either game. How big is – yeah, let me come to you. No, sorry.
Yes, absolutely. They've got a new coach this year, and he has definitely slowed it down. Last year when we went over there, it was – like 94 to 88 or something like that.
One of the only conference games that we didn't broadcast last year. I remember Andy and I went, and it was the wildest final minute I think I've ever seen in a high school basketball game.
And so I know they're going to want to, keep it as slow paced as possible. They returned almost everybody from last year. I mean, they lost number 12, who was, a real good scorer for them. But they've still got Riley Marshall back. He's signed with Harding.
Yep.
Really, really good player and extremely, surprisingly athletic. I mean, not that you wouldn't expect him to be, but, he's way more, there have been several times on film where he'll go up to get a rebound, and he's just up there high enough so he just dunks it in. And so he's a really, really good player. They've got a good mixture of length. The Nail kid, who's the point guard, he's very, very good. He's not going to turn the ball over much. And he can score as well. They're just they're like us. A lot of seniors, senior heavy team, a lot of experience. Been playing together for a long time and very fundamental and well coached.
How do you counter a team that wants to play like that? I know against Hall, you brought a kind of a 3-quarter or full court press. Is that the idea, just to try to speed them up and make them uncomfortable?
It's one of the ways we will. Yeah, we just. The way we play, typically, when we're pushing in transition, often that means teams are so worried about that they're sending guys back, in transition, for defense, which helps our rebounding numbers. If you've got fewer guys there, but then if you don't, obviously we make you pay and shoot a layup. But then when you do, we still look to run our early offense, our early actions, and try to get quick buckets and if, like Carl the other night, he came down and hit the first 3 or 4 shots, and if you can jump out on somebody, it makes it a lot harder, to be as deliberate and on offense if you're down.
Yeah, I mean, if you score 30 in the first period, it's hard to make you not score more than 30 in a game.
Yeah.
So let's get to 30, and then hey, they've got them completely out of their game, and you're where you want to be, and you're forcing the action, which is that's got to be the goal when you go to somebody else's arena. One, you're able to set the pace, you're able to set the tone of the game. But you would expect a Friday night at BB, they're gonna support their team. They're gonna they're gonna have a pretty full crowd there. Obviously, our student section will travel well, but there ought to be a good crowd there. So if you can get things going early and quiet them and calm that crowd and take them out of it and really just force your style of play on them.
Absolutely, that'll be one of the key talking points in the locker room will be just the importance of getting off early. Getting to a good start, getting good shots, trying to score early to put that pressure on them. I've got some friends in the coaching world that we've played, and Sylvan Hills and Jacksonville both. When we were talking after the game, they mentioned how we play fast and this and that, but not as fast as you guys. And both of the coaches said, we told them guys don't try to run with them. You can't run with them all, Mel. That's their game. And they were like, but somehow y'all made us run with you. And so I was like, well, we sometimes have that impact on people. So.
Part of that you wonder, obviously when you look at the game, we've talked about this, when you look at the way the game is played and kids want to get stats and those kind of things, do you think part of that is obviously – they see that style, and a kid's like, well, this is exciting. Like, I want to play at this style. Not so much they want to come play for Maumelle, but they just want to play for that style. Like, they want to go and they want to play at that pace because they want to keep up with you. Not just that, but they see how much fun you're having as a team. Yeah. They see your bench. They see you guys playing well together and having a good time, going back and forth. But also now they want to do that. They want to play that way because – and then they start playing that way, and then maybe they feel like, well, now we have to continue playing that way to keep up.
Yeah, and I think that's it 100%. They see how much fun we're having. They enjoy doing it. If you go to, it's probably not as common as it was when we were kids, but if you go to any random gym where people are playing pickup, that's kind of how they're playing. That's just how people naturally want to play. Obviously, like you said, most people care more about points than anything, and so if you're scoring more points, that's giving more guys opportunities to score more points. And what's funny is I can't tell you how many games, and Carl can attest to it, when, like Benton, for example, I think it was 28-24 at the end of the first quarter, which I was upset that it was a 4-point game. I wanted to be up more, but because of that pace, I told them, I said, guys, they ain't doing this for 4 quarters. So we got them where we want them. Let's just go. And that's we've been fortunate in that area. Look how many games have been close at half, but then, like you said, the legs are gone in the second half, and we're able to usually kind of stretch it out.
Yeah, typically by the end of the third or some point in the fourth, there's that 15, 20-point lead or more, obviously, to get to that point. So it's a lot of fun. And I know, it was funny. I went back and was watching last night, or went back and watched the Little Rock. So, last night went back and watched that Little Rock Christian BB game, and I pulled up the Little Rock Christian stream and started watching it. And the poor guy calling their game was so frustrated at the fact they were in the 30 points. Like, he's like, no one scores 30 points in high school basketball anymore in the fourth period. Who does this? And they were really frustrated. So that's what you have to avoid from your perspective too, is letting your guys get too frustrated. And I'll ask you, Carl, this too: is it easy? How hard is it to not get frustrated when a team's like, they want to take 2-3 minutes out of a possession if you can't really get the ball out of them and you're stuck? How hard is it to not rush yourself and take bad shots and get out of your game plan in that situation?
It's kind of hard because we trying to play fast, and then if they slow the ball out of holding the ball for a minute and 30 seconds, it's like we can't just go down and jack it because then they're gonna do it again. Then it just keeps going on and on. So it's like we just try to play, get them out of that, and so we can go ahead and get up in the beginning and go ahead and set the tone so we don't have to deal with that.
And it creates a good energy, obviously.
Yeah.
Once you get that energy going, it's like, I think Jim on our broadcast made the point during the girls' game against Hall. He kept saying the avalanche is coming, but it's true. Once you get that avalanche going, it's that energy of an avalanche. And you start thinking of it that way, you get that energy going, and you do create that avalanche and that snowball effect where it's good for you. You're hitting the buckets, but it's also very frustrating to them because they can't play their style and they can't score with us.
Right.
So as we look ahead to this game, I want to talk about a couple guys who have really played well the last few games, especially as we've gotten into conference play. We've talked about a few of these guys a little bit as we've gone. But first off, I want to talk about the Nat, Caleb Thurman. I think he's embracing the nickname, but more importantly, he seems to be finally embracing his role on this team.
Absolutely. I know the last couple of games he's been at or around 10 boards a game. And by doing that, a handful of them are offensive rebounds, so he's getting put back. So by filling that role, he's putting those stats up. It may not be as many points as he would like, but it's providing him more time on the floor, which then provides more opportunities to score more. And so, yeah, it's been big. When we go with our 1-3-1, he's always the guy out there on the top and forcing those lob passes and things like that. His energy does a really good job for us in that as well.
Yeah, it's definitely fun, and something that I saw out of him that I think kind of showed, at least to me, that he's really starting to embrace that role was, I think it was in last night's game, where he had an opportunity to just stop and jack up a three, and instead he crossed a guy over, got around him, and went straight to the bucket and got an easy layup. And a few months ago, or that KT would have been just jacking a three up in the corner, hoping it goes in, and that's not what you. I mean, KT he can hit them when he needs to, but he has such a different skill set that if he can get to the basket, he's a difference maker.
Absolutely. Like last week when we talked about Dex and the confidence that you can see, it's the same thing with KT. When he, because we see it in practice all the time, when he's confident and he's just catching and shooting, I mean, he knocks them down at a pretty high percentage. Right. But I think because he's missed as many as he has early in the season, now he's second-guessing himself. And so when he catches and thinks about it, now it's not a rhythm, it's not natural. And so, like you said, I've been really pleased with the fact that, I mean, he still shoots some every now and then, but when he does catch, if he hesitates, he realizes, okay, I need to drive or I need to pass or whatever. And so that has been big.
Another guy I want to talk about, I know we've talked about him a little bit, but is Dex. And I want it because he's averaging 13 points a game over the last three. In there was a 21-point performance, but it's funny. I know your dad came over after the game last night, and Andy and I have said it. He's scoring in the last two. I think he scored 9 in each game. But it feels like he's scored 20 in both of those games, just because not just from a scoring perspective, but whether it's rebounding or steals or defensively. Obviously, he's taken. You're putting him on their best player each time. He had Christian Moore. He had Cam Harris in the game last night, and so this is a guy that's just been really impressive to me. But he's made 2 plays that have stood out to me in the last 2 home games. The rebound at the end of the Hall game, which to me was just impressive. From floor level, it's a little different seeing him get as high as he did. I was like, wow, I didn't realize Dex could really get up that much. But that play last night, the floating layup, curling, whatever that thing was, like, it was so impressive that KT put his towel over his head, not to be upset, but he was so shocked. Like, we watched the video back, and everybody's just like, wow, where did that come from? And I know you guys see stuff like that out of him in practice, but for us, it was just, wow, that's just a different level of Dex right now.
Absolutely. And I remember the rebound you were talking about, and even standing there, it was like he was way above, my eye level, and I remember it was impressive, and I haven't seen him get up that high. That was cool to see. And the layup, I guess I can call him out. I think 2 possessions prior, he missed a point-blank layup that he shouldn't have missed. So it was good to see that he did make that one. He was like Carl. Carl makes any shot when he's contested. If he's wide open, it's he may or may not make it. And Dex had that open layup and he missed it, but then when he had he made that.
I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and what's funny about it, you say that exactly, but like if you go back and listen to the in the broadcast, the highlight I put out today, I made the point. I was like, this is 2 trips, because there was the trip before that where he had the missed layup, but also the next trip he goes down and he got fouled and he missed both free throws, and then right back up the floor. I thought the cool part about that play, and again, I'm no basketball aficionado. I'm thankful, Carl over here has been able to give me some pointers. Some other guys have been able to say, hey, this is what you should say or do, or this is what's going on. You've been a big help to help me learn some of the game. But I thought a really cool part of that whole play was I felt, and I don't know if you guys have went back and watched film on it, but this is what I saw from it. Dex baited that pass. Like, he acted like he was screened by Cam. Cam had him. I don't know if they were planning to kind of roll Cam towards the basket, but as soon as Williamson turned to make that pass, you could see Dex. Dex was looking at him out of the side of his eye. He baited him. He got the play, knocked it away, and then just turned on the jets to get to the rim. And it was an impressive play just to watch.
Absolutely. That's what makes Dex such a good defender. I mean, obviously he's, it's cliche, but he's quick as a cat. But also he's got those instincts, and so he's constantly, just got a knack for the ball, knowing where it's going to be, constantly watching where, we talk about it all the time, watching guys' shoulders and, things like that, and he does a really good job in that.
Now, I'm going to say this because if Dex watches this, he's not allowed to get too pumped up and get too amped up at me bragging on him because I'm just some guy with a microphone talking. So don't get too amped up.
You missed a layup and 2 free throws prior to that layup.
Yeah, so work harder. We don't need no more 7-game slumps because I opened my mouth. So continue working. Don't settle because I'm talking about you because I'm the wrong guy to settle. So my wife did that. She's regretting it to this day. But well, guys, another big one coming up. Obviously, with BB, try to get to 6-0 in conference play. We're not going to talk about next week yet. We'll talk about that on Monday night for Hornets Live. But congratulations on a 5-0 start to conference play and a big run here early.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, Coach, that's going to do it for us for Hornets Live tonight. Before we go, I do want to hang on, Will. I don't even know. No one's probably going to know what I'm talking about here. But I do want to say, I know that we joke about some of the other live streams that go on around the state, and we're excited to be able to be with you guys and to bring the stream and to be able to broadcast and give you guys as much exposure we have. But there's some other really good quality live streams across the state. And I want to say congratulations to my buddy JB Brazil with the Greenbrier Sports Network for he won the Sully Award this year. And I was telling Will before we got started, I told JB this too when we were watching when he posted it on Twitter. I was like, oh, that's going to win it. It's over. It's done. Like there's no point in anybody else even submitting anything. He's going to win it. So I want to say congratulations to JB. He's a really, really good play-by-play guy as well for Greenbrier. And so I want to say congratulations to him as well before we go. But once again, also want to say thanks to our friends Tamsy and her crew here at American Pie Pizza. Please get out here and support our friends and tell them thanks for being such great supporters of Maumelle Hornet Athletics. Y'all have a great night, and we'll see y'all Friday night in BB as we look to go 6-0 in conference. Go Hornets.